This video is to show you how to fit new front discs and pads on the MK3 Ford Mondeo. It's Don Britton again, another brake job, but this time it's on my 2001 Ford Mondeo 2.5 V6 estate car, and it's the front we're doing. Right, the jacking point for here, I'm using the chassis leg. This is the other side, which I've already done, and it goes under there. So first of all, loosen off the wheel nuts and then jack is up there. It's very safe. It's underneath the suspension, so there's no problems. On the Mondeo there's no catch under the dash. You have to open it with the key, turn it to the left and then to the right. And as usual in a brake job, you need to take the cap off the master cylinder, because when you expand the shoes you're going to push fluid up, back. Make sure you put the cap somewhere safe so it won't blow away or you won't lose it. And then, because it's a miserable rainy day, I'm putting the bonnet back down again. Another quick tip: if you've got locking wheel nuts like most people do, well, I use like what people call a windy gun, and never ever use it on the locking cap, the locking wheel nut, because you can strip it off. So always use a bar for that one. As an extra safety precaution, what I normally do is when I take the wheel off, I put it under the body. So if your jack failed, and it shouldn't because it's a heavy duty one, but if it does, it'll fall on your wheel and you can get your jack back underneath. And that's what the brakes look like. On these it's very difficult to see what the wear is. On some other cars you can look and you can see the pad wear, but on these you can only see when you take the wheel off. Because I'm dealing with the driver's side, what I'm going to do is turn the wheel to the right so we can get at the nuts, the bolts, really easy. Now it's sticking out, and we're going to take this one off and this one off in the beginning, which takes the caliper off. These two bolts are 13mm and they're Loctite on normally, but I'm using Mintex because I used some cheaper discs before. Obviously I've done the other side, so that's why I still got one. And when you get the Mintex one, and the other cheap set, to be fair, you get two new bolts which have got Loctite on already. Anyway, let's take them off. Again, I'm using my power tool to do this. It's a lot easier. And if you think these are expensive, they're not. This is only a cheap, like, Chinese one. Got it on eBay for, like, I don't know, £40 or so. If you do a lot of work, it saves a lot of trouble. It's like a cordless impact wrench. Very good thing to have. Right, both of these bolts are off. Obviously, like I showed you, there's two new ones in the kit, so we don't need them anymore. The actual caliper itself just pulls off easily. You can see the pistons wound out, and now you can see the actual shoes. And the one, I'm going to put that up there for the moment, out of the way. Just hold it up there, it's fine. See, this one's a lot more worn than this one. And also here you can see this thickness on the inside of the disc is thinner than this. And if we look at the new one, they're supposed to be the same. Like I say, I'm using these Mintex ones. The reason is I bought cheap ones before on a different Mondeo, and they actually warped. It's up to you how much you want to pay. I paid a lot more for these. It was, I can't remember, about £80, but it's, in my view, well worth it. Right, now we have to take the carrier bolt off. These are 15mm. And these are Loctited as well. You don't get new ones in the kit though, so you need Loctite. They come off really easy. See the Loctite. When you've undone the two bolts, the carrier just comes off, and it's got the disc pads in it. you have to take the disc off, and if it's the same as the other side, it's going to be a lot of trouble because someone put this copper grease, which is useful for some things but not for this, and they put it all inside the hub before they put the actual disc on, and now it's like suctioned on. It was a real nightmare to get it off. So what you do is you take these two retainers off. They're like push on things. They should unscrew. You can see there's copper grease everywhere. Undo that, and then the theory is that the disc just pushes off, but it wasn't so easy. So anyway, I'm going to have a go. Use a screwdriver on this and these little things, and then try and force them around. They should unscrew. It's coming off. I'm not showing it all the way because it takes a long time, but anyway, basically you put a little screwdriver in there, wedge them out and unscrew them. I can see it's nearly off. They're just like locking washers really. I've seen some that they're missing, and it's not the end of the world because when you've got the wheel on it holds the disc on anyway, but and you can buy new ones, and I had no trouble reusing the other one anyway, so now I've got to do the same with this one. The second one's coming off a lot more easy. I use a screwdriver to tap it. Once you get it loose, they just unscrew. Okay, they're both off now. Now the idea is that this just comes off, but you can see copper grease everywhere. So I'm going to like use a hammer and tap it off with a piece of wood. Let's see what happens. Right, just like on the other one, because of all this blooming copper grease everywhere, it's clogged everything up. It's like set like glue, so I'm having to use WD-40. I'm squirting it through all the lug holes, hoping that it's going to go inside a bit. It's exactly the trouble I had on the other side, and it took me like half an hour to get the thing off. It should just pull off, but because of all this copper grease that's inside there and all around here, it's glued up, so do not do that. And it's like 5 minutes later and it's still not coming off. Trying to use a little screwdriver to go down the cracks on the middle. Nice coming there. This is totally unnecessary. It should come straight off. It's all to do with some idiot and copper grease. They filled this up with copper grease and it's like glued on. Do not do it. Now I'm going to, I've got like a nylon brush, clean off all this stuff that's in here now. Unlike when I did my Mercedes, I am using brake cleaner on this. Brake cleaner, not WD-40 or something. And this will get all the crap off. See all the muck coming off? I cannot overemphasize, do not put copper grease in here. Not if you want to get the disc off. Right, just going to wipe off all the excess stuff, but it's dried very clean now. This is all clean now. And I can put the nice new disc on. Note, I am not putting copper grease in here. I know I keep saying it, but it's really pissed me off. It's took me like half an hour longer than necessary. See? It's supposed to just come off. Not be hard work. He says as he can't get it back on. Right, it's on. Remember the clips? I haven't got new ones, so I'm using the old ones. Just put two on. Screw them back on. Right, they're on. One there and one there. You can see that the Disc is dirty, it's dirty from my hands, so using the brake cleaner. We'll do it again in a minute. Okay, this is the caliper, and you can see, like I said before, the piston is sticking out because obviously it's compensated for the wear on the pads. Now, this is a tool that I couldn't find when I did my Mercedes before, and you just put it in there, wind it in a bit. It's different for different cars, anyway. Hold the pad and turn it. And that piston is going in easy. It sounds difficult because I'm doing it, trying to keep the camera in the right way. Whoops. Hang on, reposition it. Undo it. Piston's all the way in now. So this is a very good tool for spreading the piston. There's lots of different kinds and it depends what car you're doing. I've got like 2 or 3, but on the Mondeo this one works fine. Next we're going to sort out the carrier. This is where the actual pads are, so pay notice on these. That's a new one. A lot thicker than the old one. So first of all we take the old ones out. They just push out that way. Took one out and then this one they just, like I say, push out. As you can see they're glazed from heat. And this, so they were well due for, I mean there's not a lot of wear left in this one. I'll use my brush again just to clean up all the muck off the carrier a bit. The new pads are coming with these. These are like anti-squeal pads. The old ones didn't have it, but like I say, this is Mintex, and they just push onto the thing like that, so that it's supposed to stop them from squealing. And the same on the other one. There they are on. So next I've got to put them in the carrier. There they are. The pads are now in the carrier. All you do is, you can see there's little slots there on both sides, and what I did, I put them inside and then pushed them that way. Inside, pushed them that way, they went on a lot easier. And now's the time to check, see if your slider pins are working alright. It's very important. And they are, they're fine. So now what we're going to do is going to bolt this back on. Right, I'm going to put this back on. Remember, the 2 bolts need Loctite on because there's no new ones. Oops, unfortunately my Loctite's all bunged up, so I've got a bit too much, but anyway, you'll need a little bit. the hole. Ha ha ha. Right, pretty much got them in. To just push the pads in a bit. Right, now tighten them up properly. I've done by hand. Remember, it's 15mm. So that's on. See, it's on. No, too much Loctite. But anyway, you can see the metal pads, the anti-rattle or anti-squeal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of copper grease that I spoke about before, but only on these two surfaces where the piston goes to stop them from seizing on. Now it's time to put the caliper on. Remember, obviously the piston's all the way in, so it should go on well. One of the metal pieces go off. Just put that back. Right, put it on. We have to push the sliders in a bit to get it on. Right, it's on. Remember, we had two new Loctited bolts in our kit, and they go in there. But there's a piece in here that stops them from, I'll show you. It's going easily. Right, see this bit's going around, so you need to hold it with something. I'm going to hold it with these grips. Otherwise the whole slider goes around, you can't tighten it up. It doesn't need to be real tight because we've got Loctite. And then this is the piece you have to hold. It's like flat. And there's one there. There, it's on. I'm going to turn the wheel back in so it's straight and then clean it up. So I'll straighten the wheel up, and now you can see everything's in. You can see where how the pads seem to fit. It's very difficult on these, you can't see much. But anyway, now what I'm going to do is just give it a good clean before I put the wheel back on. Like I say, it is proper brake cleaner. It's not grease, and it doesn't affect the brakes. And it dries very quickly. It's like ether. See, it's evaporating. Now I'm just going to put the wheel back. Remember, not the locking nut. Never use a power tool for that, because believe me, if you bugger one of them up, it's a nightmare. Right, take it off the jack and torque them up. It occurred to me that everybody knows how to tighten up the wheel nuts if you've got 5 stud, but if you don't, here's the clue. You do it like a star shape. If you're drawing a star like when you're a child, so you do that one diagonally down, and that one, and that one. Puts less stress on the wheel. That's it. Besides the trolley jack, that's all you need, and the parts, of course. This is a basic set of tools from Halford, not so expensive. The caliper, what do you call it? Cylinder push, I think. This piece, some copper grease, a little bit, the bar for the wheel, some brake cleaner, WD-40, and Loctite. I've done all the hard work, but if you remember, we took the lid off on the master cylinder, so we need to have a look at that and see how much fluid has come back up. Here we are, the level has come up. I don't know if you can see the maximum level. It's supposed to be there. It's a little bit more, but what I'm going to do is take it for a little drive around the block very gently, bed them in a bit, and then check it again when I come back, see how much fluid has gone, because obviously the calipers need to squeeze back in now. Okay, I'm back in the car now. I'm going to turn the engine on. Well, I just touched the brake. Yeah, the brake pedal's gone right to the floor. That's to be expected. You pump it a couple of times. Right, now it's gone hard. It didn't take 5 minutes, but these are power brakes, so I need to have the engine running. Listen to that 2.5 V6. Just joking. Ah, air conditioning. Slow it down a bit, it's noisy. Okay, I'm just going to drive it exactly like I did when I did my Mercedes, around the block. And see what the brakes feel like. And as before, then I will check the fluid. You do not want to go zooming off and stamping on the brakes, see how brilliant they are, because that's what causes them to warp. You need to touch them very gently. You're working fine, but I believe I mentioned before on my Mercedes one, when I had another Mondeo, it was a 2.2 diesel, this is a 2.5 V6 petrol. I changed the brakes on that with cheap ones from eBay. It was like 50 quid for front and rear. And I went for a little drive. I was a bit impatient, and I thought, oh, I'll just stomp on the brakes and see what happens. Oh wow, yeah, it stops on a 6-piece. And just cuts out, and it did. And then after a few days, I started getting juddering because they'd warped, and there's only one way to fix that, and that's to change the brakes, which is amazingly brilliant. It's my stupid fault. And what I did, I bought these Mintex ones, but then the engine in the other one packed up and I never fitted them. So I'm glad I had them, because it's coming very handy for this one. I just gently touch the brakes. Put the window down, see if there's any squealing or anything. So I go up to like 30, put it in neutral. Brilliant, it's not pulling, it's not doing anything, it's fine. And that's how you do it. So I hope you found this video informative and useful, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel and like the video. I'm trying to do lots more. They're not all about cars, sometimes it's about adventures and things. I'm just an ordinary person who likes to share experiences with other people. So anyway, see you again soon. Just a quick update. I came back, checked the brake fluid level, and it's pretty much spot on. because the brakes aren't fully bedded in, I'm not going to take any out. It's slightly above, but it's nothing. I'll keep an eye on it in the next few days. That's it.